Hello everyone and welcome to All of the Mods 10. This is a mod pack that is for the one, the only Neo Forge. And this mod pack is insane as it has so many cool mods all combined into one cool, very optimized mod pack, surprisingly. It is a fun mod pack overall. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already to see more mod pack related videos and also more gaming videos in general. And let's get right into this video. We're going to talk about all the different things regarding this mod pack, but very briefly, of course, nothing too crazy. Otherwise, we'd be here a while. So the main important feature of all of the mods are the quests, because the questing system is essentially the main goal of this entire mod pack. So welcome to All the Mods 10. You accept the quest here for experience plus 10, and then you have useful commands here, and then you have the more information on the quest, you have more information on the claiming chunks, and then creating a team in case you're playing this with other people. Okay, so I'm going to briefly cover over everything within this entire quest system. However, I won't go into too much detail because it is a lot of quests, and let's be real here, you probably don't have a lot of time for that. This is the bounty board. You start by killing some of the original, monsters of vanilla Minecraft, and then you move up to 10, 50, and then 100. If you get to 100 or some of these areas, you can get a loot crate, and this will help with a lot of materials that you might want to need for future endeavors, like nether stars, dragon eggs, beacons, etc. So you can actually get that from these quests right here. And then you have the individual killing a boss quest. There are more bosses than these ones, but this is just a nice generic one. So Ender Dragon, Wither, Warden, Lunar Monstrosity, Starlight Golem, Wilden Chimera, Forgotten Guardian, Ravager, Elder Guardian, Pilgrim Brute, Tangle Hatred, a Rot Beast, and a Kill the Traitor and his annoying llamas. Now this is building. So the building tab actually has a bunch of different sections here, and each section represents like a different part of Minecraft building. So one of them is the decoration section. You have the light section over here, amenities section right there, like the ceiling fans, the cabinets, the toilets. You have a bunch of general decor mods here, and then you have some windows, doors, unique fencing, different kinds of things there. Then you have chiseled up here. Then you have a couple of building gadgets over here. Then you have some wood stuff, some glass stuff, some mineral stuff, some dyed wool stuff, etc., and some stone stuff here. Tips and tricks gives you some generic stuff that would help you a lot, like iron jetpacks would help you a lot for traveling. There's some compass for searching the structures and the biomes, so that's also useful. You have building gadgets. You have a bunch of things here that would be really useful for you for generic use. Artifacts here. So basically, there's a system where if I go into my inventory here, you can actually add a bunch of trinkets to yourself. These are curio slots, and you can add a bunch of different things here. And these basically help with showing you as to what you can do for the curios and artifacts here. Basic armor. So this actually is a very organized menu where it shows you all of different trim colors, all the different armor trims, and it shows you the worst to best armor. So you basically progress through all of the different armor stuff here, all the way up to the quantum armor, the invincible armor. This is an optional quest as well. So as you can see here, this is a really nice system to tell which armor is really the best in the game and which ones you should probably go for next. And it's the same story with the tools. You have pickaxes up here, all the different kinds of pickaxes, all the different kinds of really good material. And then you also have all of the really good swords and stuff right here. Mahota Sokai basically focuses on a bit of an explosive, dangerous magic. And it is a really cool magic mod, but also gives you some really nice tools and such that would be very useful. And these are some really interesting weapons as well. Relics are very similar to that of baubles. These are equipable to those same slots, and they do have a little bit more of a unique styling compared to the original trinkets, but they're still basically trinkets and really useful for adventuring. Silent gear, I don't know too much about. However, for what it looks like it's a form of way of crafting for weapons and materials. You can even see that there's different casts and stuff, which is very similar to Tinker's Construct. So it has a very similar system to that, and it looks like a really interesting mod to get into. Basic storage. So basically, this is all of the basic storage networks that you can make using either sophisticated storages, sophisticated backpacks, functional storage system over here. There's a different ways to make a very simple storage network. Applied Energy is more of a complicated storage solution, but is a really nice storage solution nevertheless to work around, because it does have basically everything you possibly need for a storage network. Now we have basic logistics and IO stuff here. So we have pipes, we have integrated dynamics, mechanism, laser IO. You also have integrated dynamics over here, and you also have modular routers and pylons. I would go through each of these individually, but we have to go through some of this very fast so that I can get to the a crap ton of other stuff. For the most part, these are very self-explanatory though. Like for example, the pylons, they would actually show you that the pylons help with certain things like magnum torch, if you guys know what that is. That basically prevents mobs from spawning. Resources. So apothic spawners increases the output of spawners. So each of these materials helps with increasing the maximum output of the apothic spawners. Foods and farming. So this entire section is basically just for the generic food stuff. You have even a purchase supply here, a marketing for farming for blockheads. You also have agriculture stuff here, so it's a really nice way of like basically understanding how to get food very fast within this mod pack. Hostile neural networks. So the hostile neural networks is based around simulating mob kills for loot. So this basically helps you with getting more loot once more. Basic agriculture basically allows you to grow any mineral that you'd want, along with growing any mob and stuff that you'd want. Productive bees basically does the same thing, but for bees, where you can actually make hives and such for different blocks, and even obtain certain like stuff like either like an H&B will give you netherite ingots. And then you have productive trees. Basically, this is just a list of like all the different cool trees that you can probably make and such. Now we're going into the technical stuff. This is the create mod. The create mod has a lot of different ways to have mechanical parts, moving parts, a very steampunk style of engineering. And you even have things like mechanical arms, you have schematic cannon. Another really cool mod, immersive engineering. You can make multi-block machines, you can make coke furnaces, you can make windmills, water wheels, etc. You can also make a bunch of weaponry stuff here. You even have a plated shield here. Industrial foregoing is for automation stuff, so you can even automate, for example, the wither spawning. You can automate a lot of different things here. Just dire things. This is one of those mods I don't know about too much as well, but it is a really nice mod for machinery stuff as well. Mechanism allows for some processing of materials here. There is a bit of like a basic tier, advanced tier, elite tier, ultimate tier. So the ultimate tier obviously has a lot of things. There's windmills, there's solar panels, there's some tools and weapons. And there's even a thing called mechanism reactors. And mechanism reactors allows for you to make the mecha suit along with multi-block machines and such. Pneumatic craft deals with pressure and all that stuff. So like you make a more multi-block things like this, and it deals with a bunch of like the PSI stuff. And you can even make yourself a pneumatic armor. Railcraft is basically all about rails. You can make coke oven, blast furnace, water tank, steam ovens, so basically a lot of oven stuff, and you can make a really cool rail system with the Railcraft mod. Auratech allows you to do some crazy things. The Manhattan module is a crazy concept, but yeah, so a lot of this is like, I guess, atomic style of engineering, and I don't really know too much about this, but there's plutonium dust and all that stuff, so it can be a very interesting mod to dabble in as well. So Zycraft has some like storage aspects to it, along with even autocrafters and all that stuff, so it's a really cool mod for some also really intense machinery as well. Then you have a whole section dedicated to modern industrialization. So this is all from modern industrialization, and it goes through like the different stages such as the steam age, the electric age, the, I don't know what this is supposed to be, digital age or something like that, but like this age, and then the age of oil and blast-proof plates, and the nuclear age. The nuclear age obviously deals with uranium and like the nuke and all that stuff, so it's like a really cool thing here. And you can even make the quantum nano set from extended industrialization. Now this is the power section. I mentioned a lot of power solutions before, but this is like more power stuff. You can even like see that there's actually some stuff from mechanism here. So this is all the power. Then you have extreme reactors. This helps with making even more power. So many power. And you can even make uranium ingots and all that stuff too. Then you have generators and furnaces. The generators obviously help produce power if you smelt some things. And the furnaces, of course, the really good furnaces allows you to smelt really, really fast. Then you have the generic power mod. You have the power mod that allows you to store power. That allows you to, I believe, transmit power. Now we're going to the magic section. Apothecary chanting allows you to chant a lot better and a lot more. So you can even like apply enchantments to like a tome, for example, a sword tome. Apply a lot of sword enchantments to that tome and then apply it to a weapon that makes it a lot cheaper for you. Ars Nova allows you to put these commands that you see appear, it's many different commands, and put them into a spell combination. And it's a really cool mod for that reason. Ethercraft deals with some blood magic and some evil styled magic. You can also see there's some weapon stuff here. Forbidden Arcanist deals with a bunch of like soul stuff, some arcane kind of style. You can even see there's some soul stuff here. There's even some quantum catchers. You can actually use these catchers to move mobs around. So it's a really cool style. And there's also some of these forges here that are very useful. Iron Spells and Spellbooks is probably the most generic magic mod. You have a bunch of different kinds of spells: lightning, ender, holy, evocation, nature, blood, ice, fire. Nature's Aura deals with a lot of the magic regarding nature type magic, like the dryad, druid type magic. Occultism deals with some darker magic as well, like cult, like heretic style magic, summoning type magic. You can even summon familiars and such. And then you have Thurgy. Thurgy deals with some machinery stuff, kind of like the steampunk style of magic. Cataclysm, the boss mod right here, is basically all about going around and like killing some of these guys around the areas. Eternal Starlight is a dimension that you can face more bosses, face new challenges, get a bunch of tools and armor and stuff. The Bumble Zone, there is some cool little big bees, there's some cool little bees around the area. And there's also some unique bees from different mods. The Twilight Forest is a really cool mod where you can actually go to the Twilight Realm and basically fight bosses within a specific line here. So it actually gives you a good line to follow. Then you have the Undergarden. The Undergarden is more of a generic like dimension that has cool biomes, cool vegetation stuff here. You can see like the trees and all that stuff. And you have some hostile mobs, neutral mobs, and some friendly mobs. I could explore the quest even deeper than that. However, the reason why I don't is because there are so many things to do within this mod pack that it would take a long while to do it. But either way, let's go on to the biomes and let's take a look at what biomes have to offer. There are two main biome mods, the first one being the Biomes We've Gone, and the second one being Regions Unexplored. So the Biomes We've Gone and Region Unexplored adds in some really creative and insane biomes. Some of them are more magical, some of them more intense and insane. There's also some additional stuff added onto these biomes, and I can't really point out everything, but there's stuff like Pam's Harvestcraft trees around. There's also some additional plants from additional mods, and it makes for a very beautiful experience overall exploring the world. There's also some additional biome stuff within the cave. So this is the Bioshroom biome. They aren't too common from what I'm seeing. However, on occasion, you do run into like a massive section of a biome, like the Bioshroom biome. Let's start with some of these structures now. So the mine shafts here are from Better Mine Shafts. And Better Mineshaft is not the only better mod from the Young's mods. There's also better dungeons, there's also better stronghold, there's also a lot of the better stuff. An example of another Young's better structure is the Better Desert Temple. So as you can see here, this is a Better Desert Temple and it is huge. It has puzzles on each side of the room and it is a really cool overall overhaul to this insane structure. Talons and Towers adds a lot of more pillager and villager structures to the world. So this is another like example of a pillager structure. So you have some pillagers outside this beautiful looking tower. Shortory adds in some more generic towers and buildings to the area that you can explore and loot for yourself. There's also some very unique looking villages around the area. So this is a bit of an Asian styled village here. And there's even these like little like mineral geodes almost like that's just on the surface. And they have some diamonds, some emeralds, some golds. When Dungeons Arise is also in this. This actually took a long time to find. And yeah, When Dungeons Arise is in this, but this won't spawn too often within this mod pack because this mod pack has a lot of structures as it is. Either way, it has a lot of cool dungeons that have really hard mobs to face, and it is a really nice mod to add within this mod pack. This right here is from the Better Dungeons mods, a very unique style of dungeon where it's a bit of a spider dungeon through the entire area here. It's like a really nice design for a spider cave. There's also some Evilcraft buildings around the area, so this is actually like an Evilcraft block right here with some chests. Whoa, oh my goodness, look at this. This is what looks to be a Ars Nova building here, and it is very bright. Oh my goodness. So you have a cool little like Ars Nova building here, and you also have a bit of a villager trade post here. So there's a bunch of villagers here, and you can see like a bunch of like villagers next to like a shop like area. You also have some of these ore geysers here from Zycraft around. Take a look at this building. Oh my goodness. This is Acropolis, and this is from the Cataclysm mod. This is one of the mods that basically have a crazy amount of bosses and creatures in general. So you can see like, wow, these are some really cool designs for the buildings here. Explorify is also in this, which has some really cool small buildings like this. These buildings tend to have maps that lead to other structures that are really important, like dungeon structures. Formations is also in this, which adds in these cool little small structures here and there, like wagons and small towers like this one. And then you have Roll Night Dungeons, which adds in a series of floors all the way down to deep slates. And the last floor being this red nether bricks floor. Each floor has its own set of difficulty, and yeah, it's a really cool dungeon to face because of its very unique floor-like style. You also have some repurposed structures in here. So this is a repurposed mansion that is now a jungle mansion. So you can see right here that there's a lot of like floors that are very similar to that of a regular mansion, but it is a jungle style. Now it's time to move on to some of the mobs. Variant Adventures adds in some of these variants to Minecraft. So you have more variants in different biomes, such as the cold biome right here. You have one that spawns in the warm ocean biome. You have this guy, which I believe spawns in the swamp biome. And then you have this guy, which I believe also spawns in the swamp biome or the jungle biome. You have a mod called Tombstone, which adds in these cool monsters here and there, which apparently seem to be aggressive at pretty much everything. But this thing right here is actually a Tombstone Guardian, so it would actually protect rather than attack you. These little cute guys are from Arcana. They're like little familiars, and basically you would tame them using some sort of pact with them. As I mentioned before, the bees are a little bit different, as some of them can give you very good ores when going through the path of using these bees to help you produce some of these cool little ores and stuff. allthemods mod adds in these really cool mobs to your game where they have a bit more personality like. And some of them are tameable, some of them are hostile. You also have this mod called Living Things, which adds in a lot more creatures such as lions and like animals to your game. But these animals are not as lively as allthemods mod. They kind of are more brick-like, but either way, they're still pretty cool to see around your game. Ice and Fire is also in this, which adds in some cool creatures, such as this hippocampus. This hippocampus is one of the few friendly creatures that you would actually see within the world. This is a fire dragon. So a fire dragon is one of those creatures that you can find around the world, on the surface even. Yeah, they're a bit territorial and will attack pretty much everything as long as it's within radius. So there's a couple of fish in the water. This is from aquaculture. Aquaculture adds in some fish, and when you even fish yourself, like using a fishing rod, you can even pull out regular fish rather than just cod, salmon, and just like, you know, the generic Minecraft fish. There's also a Sushi Go Crafting, which adds in like, you know, just only like 2 or so of these little fish-like creatures, such as a shrimp. This is a mimic, and a mimic will open up when you try to open up this chest, and of course will attack you. So be careful when you're opening up some chests, and, you know, be alert that it's a mimic and not a regular chest. Biomes We've Gone also adds in a couple of cute little animals around the area, such as a Manowar or a Pumpkin Warden. So there's some cute little guys around your world from those biomes. Now, of course, Cataclysm adds in a lot of different creatures, but these creatures are probably some of the most complicated looking creatures ever, and they are very animated, very well done. They fight really hard, and they are some of the best creatures to fight within this mod pack. And of course, Cataclysm also comes with some actual bosses that are really strong as well. Forbidden Arcanus also has some guys around your world as well, so they might be really useful to you, especially this guy who is a actual like trader. Occultism also has some familiars. So this is one of your familiars. This is a beaver familiar that you can have. As I mentioned before, Railcrap adds in its own set of cards, and I mean, technically it's an entity, so Yeah, I just wanted to show you that they have some really interesting looking cards. So this is for like transferring fluids. And of course, there's a bunch more mobs, especially from the mods that I kind of briefly just touched upon. Like Alex Mobs mod has a loads more mods. And Living Things also has a loads more mobs as well. Like a lot of them have a lot of mobs. With that said, let's touch upon some of the dimensions in this mod pack. This is a mining dimension. So basically the whole purpose of the dimension is to mine. This is the allthemods, the other dimension. And the other dimension, I believe, is when you take the teleport pad to the mine dimension. But instead of going over to the overworld and using it, you use it in the nether. This is the deeper and darker. This is a dimension that is based around the warden and the deeper and darker, the deep and dark, the deeper and darkness. Yes. So basically the way to enter this is that you kill the warden and you put the heart inside that frame. And you get to go to this dimension. This dimension has a couple of things going for it, such as ores, a lot of skulks, so you can get a lot of experience from them if you mine with a hoe. And you can even find some structures that have like pots they can break. This is the Starlight dimension, and the Starlight dimension is a really, really pretty dimension. In this dimension, you have a bunch of cool looking areas, such as this, where you have very bright rivers, and like the trees have a very unique design to them as well. And you can have some very fun experiences in this dimension, as there are bosses. There are a bunch of things to explore. This is the Ice and Fire Dreadlands, and it is a very, very cold area. So as you can see here, a bunch of these dread guys just spawned in, and immediately they're going to like travel relatively in packs, and they're going to be a little bit hard to face, especially because there's going to be a lot of them. It's the Mahou Sasuke reality dimension. There's a bunch of swords on the ground. I actually picked up a sword, and the sword has a random enchantment. So I'm going to pick up this sword. And these swords are actually necessary for the quest. As you can see, I actually got the quest Getting Morgan. The Bubble Zone has a couple of structures here and there that are really, really cool to explore. And this is one of the later versions, so it has the queen bee along with some very interesting fellas here. There is an area where the queen bee will reside, so you can go to them and trade with them and all that stuff. This is the Twilight Forest. Now, in every other mod pack, I'd basically say the same thing. Twilight Forest is a dimension that has a set, like, system to follow. You have to kill the Naga, then you have to go to the Lich, and then you have to follow the quest line in the bosses in a specific order. They made it so that the final boss is you just getting all the different blocks from the final castle, just basically grief it. And then the real final boss is just to get one of each of the saplings. Finally, the Undergarden, a dimension that is basically the equivalent of a nether-like generation with, you know, a more of a plant life kind of style. There's a bunch of like creatures around and all that stuff. Welcome to the nether. And the nether has a couple of new biomes. Now, these biomes are from regions unexplored. And I think Biomes We've Gone also may have added some biomes here and there. But a lot of the biomes are in fact from regions unexplored. And these biomes are so cool. They're very bright and vibrant with color, and I kind of like that for something like the nether, which has a lot of glowing. And by the way, the ores, my goodness, there's a lot of ores within the nether. And of course, there's a lot of structures here. This is actually a repurposed structure for, I believe these are from the ruins. These are the ruins repurposed for the nether. And there's a bunch of like these structures around here. So this is another repurposed structure right here. This is another structure right here as well. I don't know what structure that is from, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those other structure mods. So yeah, there's a couple new buildings around the area, and there's a couple of bosses, such as the Cataclysm bosses. And there is just a lot to do within the nether. Welcome to the end, and the end has the Young's Better End Island. There was the animation, but I actually did not record that part. There's also some endermen that are very interesting. They're actually end-specific endermen. So there's an end overhaul mod that adds in a bunch of things here, and you can even see like there's some end-specific ores here, and it looks really cool. Now for the dragon fight, I don't know if there's actually anything changed with dragon fight once again, but it's still a very, very pretty looking end. There's also, I believe, nullscape end. I'm not seeing a nullscape biome, but this right here looks very like nullscape. Nullscape adds in like these very smoother islands. And there's a couple of these islands that are very, very like bright with glowstone. So we might see those as well. There's also this right here. This is, I believe, yeah, this is the Nullscape Shadowlands. So basically, it's all like gray and ashy like. Also, there's phantoms that spawn in the end as well. New creatures from Alex Mob's mod. And you can even summon the Void Worm within the end by chucking off the little baby worm off into the void. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for this entire mod pack. All of the mods, 10 is an amazing mod pack that I recommend everyone to play. And if you guys want more mod packs, want more videos, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Take care and good